Special thanks to Cololight for sending in the Coloplay, which comes displayed in a very snug box that exactly fits the Coloplay. Let me tell you in a nutshell what this thing does. It is a controller that sits on your desktop and takes control of your regular keyboard and mouse presses by eliminating those shortcuts. Any action you need those peripherals for is now functioning with just a click of a button away. And that's not all it does. The device was even a honoree at the CES 2023 Innovation Awards. It's a pretty simple and functional box, revealing a sticker sheet containing phrases and cyberpunk art. Continuing on and lifting the cover, reveals the Coloplay unit. Inside you'll find a USB cable that connects the unit to a PC. The unit itself is pretty hefty and feels very clicky. The dial feels soft and the buttons are likely mechanical switches. There's also a very simple quick start guide. Other than a USB-C insert port and a setting button on the back, there isn't much more to see here. The real cool stuff happens when you connect it, so let's do that. Now I use a Windows desktop PC, and it seems that the Coloplay will also function for Mac users, with the needed driver on their website. When connected, the Coloplay OLED panel lights up and shows you a quote from the Philip Dick novel, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, one of my favorite sci-fi novels. The first thing I did was connect the unit to my internet connection, and it needed an update. The shown UI resembles Cyberpunk 2077 a lot in its color scheme and graphical design, just a side note. After that's done, you need to download the appropriate driver for your system to make use of the unit's full functionality. The unit is set up with basic functionality at first boot, with the dial wheel being a way to drive the volume up and down. Pressing the dial reveals multiple animations for the setting, which display the time and date as well as CPU usage. The buttons are functioning as well for things like minimizing and maximizing panels. Okay, so let's install a driver and see what this thing can really do. When installed, you'll see something similar like the Logitech Hub, a program to literally program the buttons and dial for this device. On the left, you have a few tabs you can select. Setting shortcuts for the unit was pretty simple. You select the button and software-wise, you set your hotkeys for it by routing the correct path to the button. The lower buttons I program as skippable buttons for the media player I use, since I tend to listen to a lot of music while creating art. So far, just the programmable buttons tinkering. The other thing this thing can do is display applications like games, graphical apps and interfaces. You can download them through the unit itself or via the desktop application. I downloaded all of them. This is Cyberstove. I have no idea what it does, other than showing me the names of meals and dishes on screen. Maybe I'm doing something wrong here, but I didn't really get this one at all. The other one is a graphical UI of a dashboard which shows the CPU and GPU usage. You can see here that my PC is idling at the moment, but when playing a game the levels go up. There's this one app called Tequila. This one I really didn't get. But then I thought this must be some Asian singer as it just has voice clips of him screaming at an audience. I think you must be a fan to understand this gimmick. There are also nice graphical visualizers that are cool to look at. When it comes to games, there are a few, and I must say, these are pretty funny and well implemented within the limits of the device. This is a simple game of Simon Says where you have to push the 4 buttons correspondingly. Not all apps have a manual like this one. I think it's like a visualizer or something, but it doesn't do anything for me. This one is kind of weird as well. This resembles something like a drum kit, I guess? Another game is called Dino Run and lets you control a dinosaur with the lower left and right buttons, where you need to duck and jump over and avoid obstacles. It's pretty well made when it comes to animations and a simple time killer. However, none of these games have rewards or such, so you're only doing it for yourself. Another thing this unit can do is control Cololight's RGB lighting with the Colo Controller app, shown here. Sadly, I don't own any of Cololight's RGB lighting kits, so I can't test this function. Colo Inspire is a sort of cyberpunk version of throwing out haikus at you to inspire you to feel better. This option here is called the PC switch. Now here's the thing. I think that this controls the function where you can wake up your PC without having to reach the power button. There's no real explanation here, but I think this works through wake up via local area network, although I'm not sure as there is no manual for it. Now the all-time favorite, the YouTube counter. You can fill in the YouTube user through the unit or through the desktop application. Now I wish I had this many subscribers already, but this isn't correct. Thanks for the flattery though. Pinball is the final game on the list and it's very simple and effective. You rotate the environment by pressing the left and right button in order to get inside round chambers and collect these green blobs, then proceed to the exit. I like it. You can scroll through the apps by holding down the left top button. Then select the app that you programmed in the 9 given slots. The unit has built-in storage to accommodate those 9 apps, which you program by holding down the setting button on the back. Give the apps their proper slots in order, and you can eventually scroll through them. There's much more here you can do. Get your correct Wi-Fi settings, make the RGB lighting go to different colors, make it breathable, and so on. There's also a built-in microphone, which you can use to give speech commands to, instead of programming, but it's also used as a visualizer. Now there are more apps that function as a controller for the apps like YouTube, Netflix or Spotify. This thing's functions are a lot to cover in just a short amount of time. The real question is, what do I think about its capabilities so far? So here's the lowdown. What I like about the Coloplay is its appearance. It's solid and well built. It's got weight to it and it feels like a premium product for sure. There's also the fine OLED screen that shows pixelated design in a beautiful way. But the real deal breaker here might be the software itself. A lot of thought has been given into it, and it feels like the developers spent quite some time making this product not just a gadget, but also a useful product. However, there are a few tips I want to get across the board towards Cololight and then to you, the viewer. In conclusion, when I first booted up the unit, I had no real incentive of what I was doing. The paper manual from the box is a starting point, but doesn't really tell you how the unit functions or what you can do with it. I would like to see an updated user manual which explains more details on how this unit works. I figured most of the things out myself, but this might be a hurdle for another user. The desktop software has the same difficulty of explaining things. Sure, applying shortcuts isn't really a problem, but what's a say in keyboard? And what does the background for it do? It can also be found inside the software of the unit, but it's explained nowhere. Inside the application tab you can download applications. I would like to see some graphic art, or at least a screenshot of what I'm downloading. Some of these apps have really short names like Dino and Pinball. It would help if these were categorized in sections like games, visualizers, and so on. The unit is really a wonderful little device, which has its software side still in the making. I think that if Cololight directs its efforts towards the software into making the UI far more accessible, as in user-friendly, works out the manual and explains what this thing can actually do, the desirability will rise. Another thing is the software support. A device like this benefits from the variety of well-written and coded apps by developers. I myself would like to see a weather app, as well as the software supporting something like the Zigbee or even better, the Matter protocol to adjust lighting, as well as other Cololight products across the house. This thing is great, but its many functions and true potentials are hidden behind software that needs an update and a proper tour guide. In the end, it's a controller which should relieve some of the stresses of navigating. Yes, there is a lot of gimmick factor here, but if you are willing to invest in reprogramming your physical workflow, it might be money well spent. First of all, I want to thank you for watching this video. If you're thinking, man, I want that Coloplay as well, you can get 10% off with the promo code shown here on screen and also in the video description. Tell me what you think of the Coloplay in the comments, and a subscribe is always appreciated. I'll see you on the next video.